Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Heart Matters podcast. Walillahi alhamd. This is episode 5 of chapter 5, which is inspiring stories. Alhamdulillah, we invite Ayat Rizeq here. She is from Kalamazoo, Missouri. Yanni, yeah, I
Michigan.
never heard of this place until she said it. No, it's
It's
Michigan, not
Michigan.
Missouri.
Yep.
Always get the MI confused. I think that
Right. I know.
the MI is Missouri, but it's not Missouri. It's
It's
Michigan.
Michigan.
She's
Yep.
from Kalamazoo, Michigan. She
Hmm.
is the ESL teacher at the Kalamazoo Islamic Center. And we're gonna put the thing in the show notes just in case you guys want to donate or get in touch and like this because the
Perfect.
Muslims, big, they got a
Just
community out
as
there. Go
sorry,
ahead.
just a small correction. So
Go
I'm
ahead.
an ESL teacher at Kalamazoo Public Schools,
Is that right?
but I'm also a teacher at the MBIA, which is Mind Builders Islamic Academy as well. So I'm both.
Okay, so you're doing double duty.
Yep. Kind of.
All right,
Alhamdulillah.
Bismillah. All right, so just tell the people a little bit about yourself, Ayat, before we start with the question and answer here.
All right. Um, so yeah, my name is Ayat. Obviously, you introduced. I am originally Palestinian, lived in Jordan. Actually, I've never been to Palestine, but my this is the way we kind of, tell where you're originally from. It's um by our fathers. So my father is originally Palestinian, and I've been born and raised in New Brunswick, New Jersey. I spent there most of my childhood, at least I think the beginning of my childhood, beginning of 13, 12 years old. My parents decided they wanted to move back to Jordan. And that's when I spend the rest of my life, I think 15 years. I spent there, and then I got married. I have two kids, and we decided to come back to the States. And we'll talk more about that whole journey when we start our talk, obviously.
Yeah, inshallah. Okay. All right. Well, let's start with Jordan.
Hmm.
Okay, because this is a significant area, in Islam. So tell us a little bit about living over there.
Okay. So Jordan is typically the kind of place that you would, as you mentioned, it is well known to be a religious kind of country. The majority of the population are Muslim. That doesn't mean that there isn't any, Christians or, any other religious backgrounds living there. And we live in coherence and harmony, and it's it's pretty peaceful in there. Considering all the chaos that's going on in the Middle East, Jordan is considered the most secure, let's say. It has been a place that had a lot of refugees, a lot of migrants, and it has always been welcoming and hospitable in every way possible. And it's a lovely place to live in. As I said, it's a calm place. It doesn't have a lot of conflicts. People live in there harmoniously, and you have the freedom to practice your religion regardless what it is. But since the majority is Islam, so it kind of like, is the popular kind of thing that you would see. So you wouldn't feel like an outcast when you're walking down the street wearing a hijab, unlike you feel when you're here, for example. Not that much. I mean, it has improved. I would say it has improved, but yeah. So yeah, this is like in a nutshell what Jordan is.
Okay, well, why'd you guys decide to come back to the States?
Okay, so as I mentioned, I was born and raised here. So the first place that I actually was aware of was the United States. So I was born in, as I mentioned, in New Brunswick, New Jersey, and after I spent there for about 13, 12 years, my parents decided to move us back to Jordan. Is it okay if I talk a little bit about that period while I was here and then
Yes, yes,
moved?
please. Let's talk about that period.
Okay, great. I am one of eight siblings. I'm the eldest. I have four sisters and I have three brothers. The three brothers came last, so we were the ones that were typically raised here in the states were the my sisters, me and my sisters. I grew up in a very warm Islamic household. My mom and dad were like very religious. We kind of stuck to our Islamic religion quite tight. And my father, I remember my father, you know, constantly praying in front of us, and you know, we kind of followed his lead and everything, you know, in the religious aspect a lot, to the extent that they actually put us and me and my sisters in an Islamic school. So we were the first school that we were exposed to was an Islamic school, actually not a public school. So I grew up in basically a household where Islam was there, even though we were in a place that doesn't support that type of religion at that time. So I wasn't aware, I wasn't like, let's say, yeah, aware, I guess, of all the conflicts that were going on against Muslims at that time, since I was like in a really young age. Like we did everything a perfect Islamic family would do. I started fasting when I was 5 years old, when I was in the States, and it is the ibadah that is closest to my heart ever since. I really enjoyed fasting, and I grew up seeing my mom wearing the hijab the whole time, the full hijab, here in the States. So it wasn't for me, I didn't see that much the let's say the dark side of the states in that sense. I didn't face like any sort of discrimination or racism or anything. It was a really nice childhood that I lived in, and I think our parents raised us pretty well. They build a really strong foundation of Islam in us, even though we were in the States. We're in a country that, you know, is not, the majority is not Islam here. So yeah, and then well, there was an incident actually that happened that my father decided, well, no, it's time for you guys to move back to Jordan. Can I talk about that incident right now, or
Yes,
do you
let's
have
just
any
talk about this.
questions?
Yeah.
Okay. So me and my sister at that time, we were three. I think that was in 1999, when that happened. We were moved out of of our Islamic school because my parents couldn't afford it anymore. It was just too much. So they decided that they wanted to move us to public schools. We went to public schools, and I remember it was a time where it was dismissal time, so we were about to leave, and I know me and my sister, we know that my father comes and picks us up after immediately after school. So what happened is we waited for about half an hour and my father never showed up. So for me, since I'm the eldest and I'm the one who has that sense of protectiveness, also, you know, because I had my little sister with me and all that, my father, he had a workshop that was, I think, 2 blocks or 3 blocks away from where I used to study in our public schools. So this is when I told my sister, well, I already know where he works at. So I was like, okay, how about we go there walking? And it was not the securest neighborhood that we were living in at that time. I think it was Patterson, New Jersey. It wasn't the securest type of neighborhood that, you know, I think I was at that time in a 10-year-old and my sister was an 8-year-old. So I don't think it was like a securest place that you can, you know, walk down the street alone. But I pulled up my courage, and I was like, okay, let's do this. I mean, for how long are we going to stay waiting for our father? So we strolled down the street, and I appeared at my father's workshop, and he freaked out. And he was in total shock. He completely forgot to pick us up from school that day. He was overwhelmed with a lot of stuff that were going on in his workshop. And I remember him walking us back home, and it wasn't that far away either. So he walked us back home, and I remember when we stood at the door before we entered our house, and he was like, "This is it. You guys are going back to Jordan." He was so afraid, and he had that in mind a long time ago. And because we're all girls, he kind of had that sense of protectiveness for us girls, that he didn't want us to be raised in America. He didn't want us to, get affected or influenced by, let's say, the American culture. And I think a lot of Muslim families go through that even nowadays. They're like, okay, we just want them to acquire the English language, and have some sort of education here, and then let's just move back to our country. So this is kind of the mindset that the parents, Islamic parents, have when they come here to the States. And that's what my father and mother had in their minds ever since they bought us here. But that incident was like it. He was like, "No, you guys, you're just going to go back." And I clearly remember that. And this is when my father decided to let us move to Jordan. Of course, his job was here in the United States, so he couldn't leave his job and go back to Jordan. So he had to send me and my three other sisters with my mother back to Jordan alone. And this was a total, like, different journey that we lived in Jordan after we moved there. And I was typically fatherless for many years, let's say.
Okay, well, how many?
Um, my dad, he went, like, he was on he used to come and go back and forth to Jordan. But he only, like, I remember when I was that little, the only time that he stayed for a long period was, I think, a year. And that was like the longest period that he was physically there with us. When we went back to Jordan, he used to come for a visit, like, every, like, 2 months, or he used to stay there for 2 months, 3 months, and then he would go back to work. So yeah, that was the
Mashallah. Well,
longest.
listen, this is for many Muslims, that's not a strange thing. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yes,
yeah, because the father is like, the father moves around. You know what I'm saying?
of
For
course.
even Muslims in this country, you know what I'm saying? The father moves around.
Yes, that's
Especially
true.
as if he's if he's in any type of leadership role,
Hmm.
he
Hmm.
moves around a lot. You know
That
what I
is
mean?
true.
So, the mothers, Alhamdulillah,
Yes.
Islam is, all right, this is
Alhamdulillah.
my question.
Alhamdulillah. Yep.
Okay, so you said you started fasting when you were 5.
Yep.
Okay, so when you grew up, when you came to the age where the angels started writing, because they're not writing at that age.
Yes, that's
When
true.
the angels started writing,
Hmm.
when did you make the conscious decision? You said, look, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna just be Muslim. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Because some children, what I'm saying, especially in this country, right, when they grow up and the angels start writing, they take another course. They be
Yeah.
like, I ain't, I'm gonna do something else. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So when did you decide, look, I ain't doing nothing else. This is it.
So this is the weird thing about me. I think it's also part of the personality, let's say. I never said this is it, and I wanted to, like, move on to something else. It was something, I don't know, it was something kind of built in me. It was deep rooted. I loved it. And I never for a second thought that this thing, or this ibadah, would be, something that I would want to ditch one day. if I would say. It persisted in me. It was something that even grew more profound in me. It's something that I enjoyed even doing more and more as I grew up, and as I like fulfilled that sense of awareness in me about Islam. It kind of grew up in me as I grew older. So it wasn't actually the opposite. And I think, yeah, I think I would applaud my parents for this, because I always say, and I never noticed that, or had that sense of awareness about that until I got to, like, maybe in my 20s, or even more after that, that I realized that it was all my parents. After the grace of Allah, of course, it is all due to my parents and the way they raised us.
Okay, all right. So let's stay there for a second. So how many of your people, the Muslim sisters and brothers that you were around, did you?
You mean like my biological sisters and
No,
brothers?
no, I'm
Oh,
talking about in the community.
community.
Okay.
Um, so during the time when I was in the States, like my upbringing and until I was like 12 years old, I remember I had maybe like one friend that was Arab. Um, and my parents, and of course, in the Islamic school, we had also friends there and stuff. But my parents tried their best not to make us mingle within people who were non-Muslim, um, in an indirect way, of course. Not that I was, trying to get away from these people, but in a way, I was by default, I was a shy kid, so I didn't socialize that much. Let's say when I was a kid, so they tried in a way to say, like, they tried to explain to us, like, what is Christmas, what is Halloween, and why don't we celebrate these holidays. They always told us our only two Eids are Eid al-Adha and Eid al-Fitr. That's it. We don't celebrate anything else. And I don't know, maybe I was like the perfect type of kid, so maybe I'm not the good one to ask these questions, but I was okay with that. I'm like, okay, if it's just these two Eids that we celebrate, if it's these two holidays that we celebrate, I'm fine with that. And they used to make, I remember, like, they used to make this really nice environment whenever Ramadan is here, whenever Eid is here. We never felt that sense of, being left out, me or my sisters. We always felt like uh, we're special because we're Muslim. So we never felt weird, or we never felt like, oh, you're like outdated because, like, why don't you celebrate um Halloween, or why don't you celebrate Christmas? So we never had that sense. I only remember one time where I bought this kit of it was a kit of makeup, and it was makeup, designed for children. So at that time I had that, and it was like near Halloween, and I really wanted to use that kit, and I was trying to convince my mom that, okay, Halloween is around the corner. Can I, go out with the kids and, celebrate it and just use that? And my mom was like, no, there's no chance you're gonna do that. Nope. But you can use it here at
Yeah,
home. So
yeah.
she tried to make like an environment for me in our household where I don't feel kind of left out, where I don't feel like weird. Okay, you want to try this? That's fine. You can try it at home. Let's like do something at home. Let's like play make believe, or something, or whatever. And not participate in their holiday, for example. So it kind of, I got convinced at the end. So I'm like, okay, well, what a mother says is what a mother says. In the end, I can't argue with that. So it was okay with me. I went with it eventually.
Alhamdulillah. Listen,
Alhamdulillah.
this is well, it's not unique.
Mhm.
Let me I won't say that, because you got plenty of Muslim Muslim families, saying they're raising their kids, and the kids are not, but
Yeah.
it takes for the parents to make the children understand that what you're upon is better.
Absolutely.
It doesn't mean that it's not an arrogance thing. It's just that
Nope.
what Allah has blessed you with
Mhm.
is better
Mhm.
than
Mhm.
that. You know what I'm saying? Because all that other stuff is just man-made anyway. You know,
Right.
it's just men just made this stuff up. They just
Right.
picked this stuff out the air, and then
Mhm.
people start following it. You know,
Mhm.
so there are many Muslims in the country. You know what I'm saying? Who are raising their children, and their children aren't they aren't affected by this stuff. They don't want to celebrate Christmas. They don't want to. They don't want to be involved. You know,
That's
because
true.
their parents have instilled in them, like yours did.
Mhm.
What you're on is from Allah.
Yep.
You know, it's from the creator of the heavens and the earth. It's better than that, you know.
It's
So alhamdulillah,
Alhamdulillah.
Allah bless your parents, and may Allah continue to is your
Ameen.
parents still alive?
Yes, they are. Yep.
May Allah continue to bless them with
Ameen.
istiqamah and thabat, for
Ameen. Ameen.
raising their children properly on this deen. All right,
Yep. Alhamdulillah.
let's segue a little bit. Let's talk about the teaching.
Okay.
When did this happen? When did this start?
Okay, that's also a really interesting story. In Jordan, I had my bachelor's degree, which is double major English and Spanish language and literature. So um, I was always into translation. That was typically my thing. I loved translating. I loved interacting with people from different backgrounds and trying to, to deliver their message in a way that is right. Like even in terms of interpretation, also because we're not doing literal stuff. We're not translating literal words. We're translating intentions. We're translating, deeper meanings. So I've always loved doing that. So after I graduated, a month after I graduated, actually, I got a job in that field in translation and content description. It was with an e-commerce company that was a startup, basically. So I worked in that, and actually, before I wanted to do that job, I also applied for a teaching position at that time. And that teaching position was for kindergartners. And when they gave me like like a small probation period, like about a week to try it out and see how it goes. And I tried that. They're cute and everything, don't get me wrong, but but it was just too much for me. I'm like, nope, I just can't do it. I I felt that I didn't have the skills. It was like my first experience, and I felt this is not me. I didn't find myself in that job. So I immediately shifted to translation and to content description. And teaching actually didn't start until I came here to the States. My this time, which is I have been here now for this is my fourth year in Kalamazoo, and this is when my teaching journey started. And I always thank Allah um, for everything that happens in my life, for all the coincidence that happen in my life, because you never know. You never know when, yeah, you get into something and you finally find your passion in that. I never knew that my passion was in that route in teaching. So I was looking for for a translation interpretation job here. I was looking for a full-time job, actually, since my kids started going to school. I thought, well, this is a good opportunity for me to start looking for a full-time job. So I started looking for a job and applying and stuff, and I couldn't find a full-time translation interpretation job. They were all either on-call basis or part-time. So I didn't want that. I wanted something full-time. So then one of our friends that I met here in Kalamazoo, she was like, they're actually Kalamazoo Public Schools are looking for a paraprofessional position. For those who don't know what a paraprofessional is, a paraprofessional is kind of like a teacher assistant in schools. So I'm like, okay, let's do this. I was this desperate. I couldn't find a job, and I just wanted anything at all. And then I said, once I get into it, I'm not gonna last more than what, 5 months or so. I'm not going to last more than that. And then I'm going to go off and, find my job and my passion. Even during the interview, when they were interviewing me, they asked me the question and they were like, why do you want to take that job? And I wanted to be sincere. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sugarcoat nothing. I'm going to tell you exactly what's in my mind. I don't care. But I just wanted to be sincere and I wanted to be real. So, and that was actually a question that I had in my mind. Why did I want to take on that job? So I was like, listen, I currently have two kids. These two kids are the apples of my eyes, and I will do anything in the world to raise them properly, to raise them in a way like my parents raised me, basically. So I think taking on a teaching position or anything in that field will enhance my chances in giving my kids the proper education that they need. I think that teaching position will give me the skills that I need to teach my kids the things that they actually need. I'm not interested in this position. This is exactly what I told them. I'm not interested in teaching. I've never been interested into teaching, but I think that taking on this position right now will give me the chance to give my children a better education, and they're everything for me right now. And concerning everything that's going on in the world right now, and all the chaos and all the, the different types of and the weird norms and rules that is going on in the world, especially in the States right now, it's getting crazy.
Mhm.
And the influence that the kids get exposed to is just too much. So I'm like, these are my priority right now. And if I'm going to take this position, it's because of them. And I got the position and I got the job after that. I don't know how that response influenced them, but they were like, okay, I mean, you are a great fit for this job and we see a lot of potential in you. So we're just going to give you the job. And this is when my journey started in and being a paraprofessional. I started at a middle school and then I went on to a high school. Middle schoolers were kind of difficult. You're dealing with a lot of hormones and a lot of, different types of personalities, and you're also dealing, well, in my case, since we're ESL stands for English as Second Language. So we're also dealing with a lot of traumas. We're also dealing with a lot of people from different backgrounds, from all over the world. So this was kind of a first experience for me, but I've always been into psychology also. That was like before I took on my major. I've always been into psychology, and I really wanted to see a way where I can influence these kids. So this is where I started the testing. So I started like, you know, giving in some, encouragement, some motivation, trying to dig in deep in their stories. And I found that I had the skill of actually relieving these kids. They felt so comfortable with me. They felt, they were so open and telling me all their problems and all of the things that they were going through. They broke down in front of me and it was okay, and I comforted them, and I tried to guide them to the right way, tried to guide them that, you have to, now your priority is your education, you have to focus on that. Don't worry about anything else. The past is the past. Even with all the traumas that they've been in, I try to, be their refuge in a way, in a sense, and alhamdulillah, it worked in an extent, to an extent. And this is when I started to get really attached to the job. And I was like, I see myself in that. I'm never and in the same way, I'm also doing my translation. So I'm not wasting, that passion. I'm also doing the translation in schools. I translate because I speak Spanish and I speak Arabic. So these are the two sought after languages basically in schools right now. So I used to help out students who spoke Spanish, students who spoke Arabic, and I did my translation in that sense. But I also helped the kids, and the kids right now were my passion. I discovered a new thing right now in me that I really wanted to do. And it led me up until today that I still do teaching. And now I have finished paraprofessionaling, and now I'm a lead ESL teacher at Kalamazoo Central High School.
Hmm. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
All right, so you just walked into that. It wasn't something that you planned on.
Nope. Nope. I just walked into it. And that's why I said I thank Allah for every opportunity, because you just never know. You never know.
All right. Alhamdulillah. All right. So give the sisters some advice. Sisters in America here, especially in America, but just general. You know what I'm
A
saying? Because
general advice.
yeah, give the sisters some advice on how to hold on to their Islam in this place, because this is not an easy place, mashallah. You know what
Nope,
I'm saying?
it's not.
I walk around with Kufi and Thobo, and people look at me crazy. So I can imagine how it is for the sisters. You know what I'm saying? So just give the sisters some advice, inshallah.
All right. So the main advice that I keep giving to the sisters, especially when I'm teaching in the Islamic school, I always try to put in some subliminal messages while I'm teaching, because I know they won't open up to it. They feel, disgraced, or they feel shy, or they don't want to talk about it that much. So I just try to target that in them, even though they didn't say it, because I know sometimes they just try to hide it. So the only advice that I always give them is to um, deepen their relationship with Allah, because that's the only um, getaway, let's say, in amid all that chaos, amid everything that is going on. Every single time they go into a breakdown, or they face something in society or at schools or anywhere, um, I immediately advise them, just go to your prayer mat, make wudu, don't go to your prayer mat, and talk to Allah. He's your therapist. He's the one who's going to figure out a way to get you out of it, even though, because we're humans in the end, and I know we want something tangible. We want something, when you're talking, you want to have somebody to kind of understand you, or to feel that that person really understands what I'm saying. But to be able to talk to something that isn't physically in front of you is a little bit challenging, even for us as Muslims. We sometimes go through that, like even in our, like, when we hit rock bottom, and you're like, I don't know, how am I going to get through. And then sometimes your mind starts deceiving you, or sometimes shaitan, actually, he's really good at that. He tries to deceive you and tries telling you, oh, you just hit rock bottom. You're gonna go and start crying to your Lord, and he's gonna save you. How is that gonna happen? You kind of minimize that, and you kind of make it like it's nothing, but it's actually everything. It's what we supposed to do. It's what we supposed to seek. He's the only one that we seek refuge in, not anything else. No one on earth can help you out in whatever you're going through, if it's not the relationship, and the strong relationship that you have with Allah. Um, I would like to mention just one incident that, well, I'm not going to talk about the incident, but it was a period of time in my life. It was in 2019. Um, this moment in my life was the turning point in my entire character, my belief, my everything. As you know, I was born in an Islamic household. I grew up in an Islamic family. So it was something that is a force of habit, that I prayed, that I fast, that I read Quran, that I, made dua to Allah. It was something that it was a force of habit. It was kind of, in a way, it was not out of real faith, or deep faith at some point. And I realized that when that incident happened in my life in 2019, where I felt like I was reborn. I felt that rebirth in me because I felt that everything I used to do before was nothing compared to the belief that was installed in me after that incident that I had in Allah. And everything changed in my life. Like, even when I prayed, the taste that I had, the connection that I had with Allah was different, was totally different. I felt something different. So that's the kind of faith that I'm trying to, to tell kids about. Like, you have to have that sort of faith in Allah. It's not just praying, or it's not just about not drinking alcohol or not eating pork. It's more than that. Our religion and our connection and faith in Allah is deeper than that, let's say. So strengthen your faith in Allah in that sense.
Okay, all right, couple more things here. First of all, I want to have,
Mhm,
because Ramadan is coming. Ramadan is going to be, like 30 days or something. So
mhm,
I want to have some round tables during the month of Ramadan, meaning I want to have an episode
mhm,
with Muslims come out every week
mhm.
during the month. At least one come out every week during the month. So, like your episode will come out on the 6th of March, which is
Mhm,
right before Ramadan, right?
mhm.
So I want to have an episode about Ramadan starting on the 13th.
Okay.
So that means I want to record something maybe on the 11th or 10th, whenever, right?
Mhm.
But I want to start having a round table with the Muslims talking about Ramadan. Maybe we'll come on and we'll read part of the Juzah of the day, you know what I'm saying? And we'll talk about that, you know what I'm saying?
That's
And
nice.
then, like that, I'll record it and
Yeah.
then we'll put it out. It'd be
Mhm.
good dawah, inshallah,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
But I need the Muslim people.
Right. Obviously, of course. Yeah.
So if you have any people in mind, you know what I'm saying,
Mhm.
that would be interested in that, you know what I'm saying, having a Islamic roundtable during the month of Ramadan, one time a week,
Absolutely.
then get in touch with me, give me the names and everything, and I'll put like that because I definitely want to do it because it'll be a benefit to me,
Yes.
just to hear Muslims how they fast going, saying read some Quran together like this. So just think about that and let me know if you think it's a people.
I
Now,
love the
the
idea.
last thing, we have to talk about Ramadan before
Mhm.
we get out of here.
Mhm.
All right. So just give me your understanding of how special Ramadan is.
Ugh. As you know, as I said, like, the closest ibadah to my heart is fasting. So obviously Ramadan, and I was also born on Ramadan. So it doesn't get any more special, right? For me. The spirituality in that month specifically is amazing. I try also to tell people Ramadan is not just about abstaining from food and drink. It's not about that. And that's what I keep also part of the da'wah that I try to, you know, to do, even with non-Muslims, because I'm in a public school, so we have a lot of non-Muslims around. So even with the teachers, so they're like, and they ask some questions about Ramadan, and I'm like, so Ramadan is about abstaining, from drinking food or eating, sorry, food and drinking water, from sunrise until sunset. But that's not only it, because most of them think that it's just that. So the spirituality in that month is amazing because each day, I try, even with my kids right now, each day we try to do something special in that month, something spiritual in that month. That could be reading a juz' from the Quran. It could be doing a form of charity in that month, because we know how much ajr is multiplied in that month, right? So we try to do as much of that, of the good deeds in Ramadan, as much as we can. Like even we try to increase, like I keep telling my kids, try to increase your smiles in that month, because you know a smile is a sadaqah too, right? Saying a good word, try to limit your bad words, limiting the bad words, trying to say the good words all the time. Even with non-Muslims, I try to keep telling them, it's this month is not only for from a Muslim to a Muslim, it's also from a Muslim to a non-Muslim as well, because we try to show how beautiful the spirituality is of this month, even to non-Muslims. And I also it's also special for me because I started giving my kids in their schools, I started giving them like a book that they read about Ramadan. So I tell the teacher, I send out an email, and I'm like, hey, heads up, like we're Ramadan is around the corner. I would like to send like a book that talks about Ramadan with my son or with my daughter, for you and your class to read and enjoy. And it's really like, it is something that is, you know, for their age. And I give out goodie bags and stuff like that. So also my kids don't feel left out during that month. Because they come and they keep asking me, well, why do they give out all these, you know, goodie bags, and they do all that beautiful celebration for Christmas and for Halloween? And I'm like, well, we can also do that for Ramadan, because it's a very special event for us too. And they were really open about it. The teachers were really open. The principal was really welcoming for the idea. And it is a really special thing for the kids also to do during that month, and to keep that attachment also to that month and to our religion, because I keep telling them our Islamic identity is what's important, is what's most important. It's not about following whatever, because even, I mean, this age and this um, era that we're living in right now is like really difficult. It's not that easy.
Yeah, yeah,
It's not like when we lived in back in the days. Well, there were challenges, but not as much as the challenges that we're facing right now. So the burden is a lot on us as parents, and I always pray to Allah that He gives us the strength to pursue this, to you know, to give us the stamina to, you know, to be able to teach our kids the right thing and give them and guide them the right way, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah. I appreciate you coming on, you know, and
Thank you so
sharing
much.
with us. Inshallah, remember, you know, because I want to do the Ramadan thing, you
Yeah.
know, so just keep that in mind, inshallah. You know,
Inshallah.
hopefully, you know, you'll be able to participate, inshallah. You know,
Yes.
we try to get some brothers on, you know, maybe we get your husband to come on too.
Oh,
You know,
yeah, he would be interested.
yeah,
Yes.
just you know, just spread it around. See if we get some people on. You know, the more the better. You know what I'm saying? Because I want to, you know,
Definitely.
just be able to dialogue with the Muslims and talk about the fast and you know what I'm saying, stuff like this. Yeah, it'll
Definitely.
be really special. And then we just put it out.
I'll spread the word.
Yeah, we just
Definitely.
put it out. You know, put it out on LinkedIn and YouTube. You know, it'd be
Yes.
good dawah. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You know,
Good
and
dawah.
you know, we got to give dawah. You know,
Yes.
because it's a lot of people
Yep.
who they want the deen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got a lot of people who want the ding, then you got some people who want the ding, but they don't even know yet that they
They
want
don't.
the ding.
That's true.
You
Yep.
know,
That's
this
true.
is where we live in this country. It's like that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's
Mm-hmm.
not opposed to Islam. Now
Yes.
you have the people who are enemies, no doubt
Yes.
about that. But
That
then you
is
got
true.
other people, they want the ding because they just start asking you all these questions. You
Mm-hmm.
know, they see you,
Mm-hmm.
you know, matter of fact, my doctor was asking me a bunch of questions the other day. You know what I'm saying? Because she seen me in my, you know, my thobe and stuff like
Yeah.
this here. She's like, what does this
Yeah.
mean? Why you say that? You know, like this, you know, because people they
They're
want to know about
curious.
Islam
They
besides
want to
what they
know.
seeing on the news and stuff.
Yes,
So
yes.
inshallah, if we can put that together, that would be fantastic, inshallah.
That would be great, inshallah. And I'm hands down for that. And I'll spread the word as well, inshallah. Thank you for having me. This is my first ever kind of interview. So I'm really excited for it to, be live. And Jazakallah khair for all that you do. You're doing an amazing job. And I'm honored
Alhamdulillah.
to be part of it. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.